Tuesday. This is the second attempt because it's like the madhouse in here. Family have gone out, son's gone to work, daughter-in-law's gone to see her grandchildren, and Rosie and Trixie are just being absolute little monkeys. Rosie is barking at every single thing that happens to fly by, pass by, everything. So I just had to stop the first video because she was barking so loud you'd have all gone deaf. So anyway, let's start all over again. Right, what was I saying? Take two. I went to the library yesterday to the Manic Club. Usual ladies there, had a nice time, had a nice little chat. And one of my ladies was knitting on, you've probably seen them, heard them, these Knit Pro needles with the silver ends on. And I thought, oh, do you know, I don't do a lot of knitting, but I thought I fancied some of these nice needles, so I've ordered some. So I'll let you know when they arrive, when they come, I'll let you know. I am doing a bit of knitting, as you know, but it hasn't grown much. Oh, they're off again. Oh, they've just been charging around the house like absolute... I've lit the log fire. I thought that Trixie would sit in front of it because she likes to sunbathe, you know, if the fire's on. She loves the fire on. It's so cold. My finger ends are just like dead, but here goes. Anyway, I've been making some things. Another group that I go to on a Wednesday, they are having a tabletop sale in aid of the church funds. So they wanted me to make some bits and bobs, so I didn't know what to make. Anyway, I made a couple of these cravats. I don't know whether you know what they're like. They're like a long piece, but this piece is got like a hole in. So when you put it round your neck, you thread the other end through. And it's like a mini scarf. I will put a link to the pattern underneath because it's a tutorial on YouTube. So, if you're interested in making them, I'm just making them out of part balls and things I have in, you know, I already had. Because I went out to my shed yesterday and I couldn't get in it because the padlock had rusted or whatever. Can't wonder with all this rain we've had. Anyway, my son's managed to free it up today and, you know, with some WD-40 and managed to get it to open. But I haven't been out there today. It's very cold today. It's not raining, but it's cold. Well, actually it is raining a little bit, but not heavily. But the forecast for tomorrow when I'm got to go out is rain, so that's joyful, isn't it? Anyway, I made another one in sort of like a jade green colour. So, you know, I'm hoping that they might sell with somebody. You know, a lot of the ladies that go down there are a little bit on the older side. So, you know, it's sort of thing that might appeal. Somebody elderly, and I've got a little... Do you know, no matter how well I sew anything in, threads in, and I've watched video after video on how to hide your tail ends in and how to darn them in, and I do it all religiously, go this way, then go that way, pull it and snip it, and they always poke out. Granny squares are the worst, and I cannot crochet over the tails. Anyway, what I got left over, I've been making, you know, just the little twisted headbands. No pattern for these, but you can find myriads of them on YouTube. So I've made one in green. I made two in blue that I had the blue left over. One's a bit narrower than the other, one's a bit shorter than the other, because not everybody's head's the same size, is it? So I've done that, and then, oh, I made two in some multicoloured wool. This is Peyton's Fab, I know what this is. Peyton's Fab double knit. So that was an oddment I had left over. As you say, I couldn't get in the shed. Couldn't get to any more wool. This is just a child's scarf because it started off being a scarf, but obviously my wool ran out before the end of the scarf. So, you know, if you pull it, I could do with blocking it, come to then I could stretch it out. So it's a child scarf really. Might appeal to a child because it's nicely bright colours. No idea what this yarn was because it was all just in a ball, yeah. I'm using up the bits and pieces that are flying about all over the place. I've still got a bag. If you remember Rosie running all around the garden with all my wool that time, I've still got the bag. You see all the tiny little balls left in it that I had to wind up because it was so badly snaggled that that's virtually all I got left with it. So I have been using them because I think I showed you last time that little baby sweater I made all in the little granny squares. So I have been using them. But I decided not to make sort of baby things to take to, you know, for the tabletop. Because I don't know whether there's any babies that are children that go to this church, yeah. It's not a church that I actually go to, I just go to the knitting group, yeah. Because it's way, way sort of down in Cleveland. And Sunday mornings I wouldn't get up early enough anyway. So what are we doing? Yeah, that's about all I need to know. Still no news on the scooter. That should be, you know, probably the first week in February, but it's getting closer. Got my son's birthday in between. Yeah. I managed to get back in touch with, well, she's a cousin sort of mine, which I lost touch with a long, long time ago. Yeah, I remember spending a wonderful week with her down in London. And it was great. We went all over the place and looked at all the shops. We actually had tea at the Ritz. Scones and tea. Well, I had coffee. And, you know, it was so posh in there. She treated me. And where else we went to Stringfellows. We went into there and spent an evening in there. Yeah, and I went to see the museums. I loved Victoria and Albert. I like looking at the old clothes and the vintage clothes and the... I have to stop itching my nose, it's itchy. You know, the vintage type clothes, or even the clothes that were like Mary Quant and things like that. I suppose they are vintage now. Showing me age now. Mary Quant would be vintage, wouldn't she now? But at the time, I'm going back about 30 years, they weren't vintage, but I really enjoyed them. And I think there was somebody called, was it Oldfield? Or was that Tubular Bells? Bruce Oldfield, I think he was called. They had some of his designs there. They were fantastic, all embroidered and beautiful. I could have spent hours just looking at the fabrics and everything. You know, that was the part of the Victorian Albert that I was more interested in, the textile side of things, yeah. And I also went into, I think it was the art gallery. Yeah. I'm not into modern art. I'm not into the Picassos and things like that. I look at them and I can't make head nor tail of them. I'm sorry, but I just can't. So I was like looking at the old masters and things like that, you know, the ones where, oh gosh, you know, they're huge. You have to stand like that looking back at them, don't you, because they're so massive. But the brushwork on them, you know, they were real artists. I mean, I know people say, oh, modern art is this, Cubism is this, Picasso is this. I could never, no. I wouldn't want it on my wall, let's just say. I would far rather look at pictures of, like, you know, Cromwell and the Roundhead and things like that. Yeah. And then they had a replica, I think, of the statue of David in there. And everything, yeah. And of course we did the High Street. I could walk in those days, we're talking 30 years ago. Walk my little feet off, up and down, in the Harrods. Went in Hamley's, that's a big toy store. Yeah. Oh, we went to Carnaby Street, of course. Had to go to Carnaby Street. You know, the hippie in me needed to go to Carnaby Street. Although I think at the time it was more the punk era when I went down to see my friend, or my cousin. She's my cousin by law, if you know what I mean. So anyway, I'm so happy that I got back in touch with her. She's going to phone me sometime later this week, so I'm really happy about that. Well, the doggies have calmed down now, and Trixie's sitting in front of the fire like she's in Saint-Tropez. She's sunbathing. My son said to keep an eye on her because she's actually been sick today, but she's been fine while she's been with me. It's Grandma, you know. Grandma's touch. Yeah. So, anyway, a book I did take with me to the library just to show my friend one of the patterns. You know I love Doris Chan. This is one of the books I've had for years and years and years, The Amazing Crochet Lace. And the shawl that I love so much is the blue Curacao shawl. And the funny thing is I've made about a dozen of these and I don't even have one to show you because I haven't got one left. That's the pattern. I have made so many of these and they fit so beautifully. It's sort of like a pineapple stitch, yeah. But with them being that shape, they don't fall off your shoulders, you know, they just really stay on nicely. But she went through this period what she called exploded lace. In other words, she took doilies or doilies patterns and did them in thick yarn, thick wool. And, you know, I mean, look at that, that's so gorgeous, isn't it? Well, it would be because it's purple. And you know how much I love my purple. And, you know, that's the type of thing she did. It looks like it's a doily or a mandala, but it's actually shawls. She did them. So I made a few, and actually Sue's made a few. There you go, look. I think you can still get the book, but you can't get a single pattern. And that was what I was wearing yesterday. I meant to do a video while I was wearing it, but I did mine in James C. Brett Marble Chunky. And I made a few of those actually. They're nice to wear. Obviously you can't wear them on their own, you have to wear them over a dress. But I'm trying to find the ones that Sue made a few of. Oh, there it is, yeah. It's a long and a short. She used to wear them over a vest top, or I suppose you could wear them over a plain dress of some description. Yeah, the long version and the short version. But I've got, I think, 3 or 4 of Doris Chan's books. Sadly, she doesn't seem to have made any recently. She seems to have stopped. Maybe she's not a young woman, so maybe she just decided she'd had enough and she's gone on to do something else. You know, she used to be in crochet magazines as well. You used to find an odd pattern of hers in crochet magazines, but, you know, nothing recently. Not that I buy every crochet magazine, because I don't anymore. Yeah. I had a lovely time this morning. I was talking on a Zoom meeting with some lovely ladies. I only knew one of them beforehand. But it was nice to have a chat. They mostly knit though, but having said that, I'm nothing against knitters. I do knit myself on occasion. And I used to knit all of the time until I had my spinal and my neck issues. And then, sadly, when I start to knit now, I get cramp. I must hunch when I'm knitting. I must do that, because my neck and everything starts to hurt. And Trixie wants to get up again. I did show you to her on the other video, but Rosie spoiled it all by barking everywhere. What do you want, Trixie? What do you want? She's got one of those. You remember the Pink Panther films where he had that servant, was he called Kato or something? That used to leap out at him all over the place. Oh, she's gone back on the fire now. And he used to give them this like inscrutable look. Well, she's got that down to a fine art. I would have picked her up, but she's done. She's gone and sat by the fire again now. But yeah, I'm going to maybe do some crochet. I don't know what I'm going to start next. I'm not doing any more things for the craft fair. I'll be taking them down tomorrow, provided it doesn't rain. And because on the scooter at the moment I do get rather wet. I'm waiting for my new scooter with the top on. And then I can, you know, be like the Sunny with the fringe on top, yeah. So, I should do a bit more on knitting. You know, the chunky knitting I'm knitting. But I don't know whether I'm in the mood for that. You know when you get in the mood for something, well, people who knit socks call them vanilla socks. In other words, they're just plain socks with no fancy patterns on them, no nothing. Things they can do without thinking about. I'm in the mood for some vanilla crochet. I'm not sure what I want to do, but I'm just in the mood for something I don't have to think too much about. I mean, the headbands were great because I can do those without thinking. You know, I can watch the TV and I'll watch YouTube, things like that. I must find some new YouTube videos as well. I know I'm missing out. I was just talking this morning on the Zoom about how you find like the newer crochet. I get the same people showing to me. And when I just type crochet in on YouTube, I find videos that are ages old. I'm looking for some like newer ones. People who make garments is what I'm more interested in. People who are chit-chatty. Not people who make blankets. Sorry people who do make blankets, but that's not my thing. Or amigurumi. They're not my thing either. So if you know very nice, interesting people who crochet garments, show things like that. It doesn't matter if they're baby garments, doesn't matter if they're adult garments, you know. If you have any suggestions, like put them in comments underneath. Also, I was looking on other people ask questions. You know, put questions and then I could answer them. I could have some comment. You know, not questions like what's my favourite hook or things like that. You know, if you wanted to know anything, provided it's not too personal. I mean, if it's too personal, I may not answer. But if there's anything you ever want to know, just ask. And I'll choose whether or not I answer you or not. But not the usual ones, which yarn do I like, because I like all yarn. I like all wool. I call it all wool. I come from the UK and I used to have a wool shop. We sold all kinds of what US would call yarn, but it was called a wool shop. And in the UK, people would say, you're going to the wool shop, yeah. And I call everything a ball of wool. It's not a skein, it's not a hank, it's a ball of wool. It could be acrylic, it could be anything. It's a ball of wool to me. And I still call it that, yeah. So if you want to know anything, but please, I mean, if you want to know my favourite colour, I'll tell you it's purple. So that's one question out of the way. But, you know, I don't have a favourite hook size. I do have a favourite brand, and that's Susan Bates with the bamboo handles, but that's only my personal preference. It's not something that I say anybody else has to use. As for knitting needles, I use what I've got, except I have ordered the Knit Pro with a little silver pointed. Whether it'll make me knit any nicer, I don't know. Because sadly, as I've got older, my tension's gone to pot. It really has. You know, I was knitting stocking stitch and somebody said to me, that's a nice pattern, and I thought, what's a nice pattern? It's just stocking stitch. But I knit differently, either on my knit row or my purl row. So when you look at the back, you know, the reverse side, it's like in twos. It goes up in twos like ridges. Somebody said, oh, you should use one size needle and a smaller needle or a larger needle for the other row. But I never quite fathomed it out. I did have a period of time where I swatched, you know, knitting with a bigger needle, going back with a smaller needle, or knitting with the smaller needle and going back with a larger needle. But I could never fathom it out. And another thing I would like to learn, well, I can do basic, is Tunisian. I've tried over the years with different ones and I can get my tension that way, but I can never get my rows right. Perhaps if I started with something like a scarf or something smaller, till I got used to the swing of it, it's probably because I haven't done it enough to get a proper kept my tension going. I mean, I started to be, you know, I'll start with a baby cardigan. I thought, yeah, you know, throw yourself in the deep end, Janet, why don't you? Anyway, I started with a baby cardigan, and of course I eventually got it right that way, widthwise, but then I couldn't get it right that way, and of course it mattered because it had shaping. So I was like, that's not a good idea, we'll just stop right there. So, I mean, Sue, my friend that lives in Scotland now, if you're an old subscriber, you will remember that Sue and I used to have these like Morecambe and Wise chit chats, and we both actually sat one day and we put a video on the TV and we actually sat and learned how to do Tunisian, and we were all fired up, we were going to do this, that and the other, and of course it all petered out and we didn't do anything. So I've got about 4 books of Tunisian. You know, I mean, I've forked out for 4 books that cost, what, £10–15 each. So you think at least I should have the incentive to actually make something, yeah? So that is it's not a resolution because I haven't made any 2023 resolutions. I've made a long list of to-dos. So I've got more chance with a list of to-dos than I have with resolution. I mean, we all, well, I don't know about everybody, but I make the same resolution, or I used to every year. I'm going to diet, I'm going to lose weight. And that lasts about to first week of January, and then you're into chocolates, aren't you, because you've got them left over from Christmas. So, I decided this year, no, I'm not making any New Year's resolutions. I'm just going to make myself a list of what I would like to achieve, or what I would like to do. First one, of course, is tidy up my she shed. It's not that untidy, but the craft bags that I took to the last craft fair, you know, the sort of laundry bags with the handles, with everything squashed in, just got plonked in there over Christmas because it was cold out there. And it's too cold to leave the heating plugged in all the time. And I always forget to go out, open it up, plug the heating in, come back in, and then go out later, about half an hour later when it's warmed up a bit. So I need to do that, and I need to organise it better. My things are on the shelf, everything's lovely, but they're not in any logical order. You know, I sort of know what I've got in the shed, but I don't know where it is. I have to go all across the shelves. I know it's in here somewhere. Where could it be? And also my patterns, they're still in the plastic tote, you know. I've got knitting patterns, crochet patterns, ladies, children's, socks, everything, all in one tote. I've got some that are in folders, but I need to put the rest into folders, a bit more logical. So that when I think I want a crochet sweater, I can go in there and just pick up the folder that says crochet sweaters, yeah. Not have to think, now where did I see it last? I think it was in this pile, or was it in that pile? Was it over there? I really do need to spend some time in it and make it into a crafting shed rather than a dumping ground, you know. It's a magnificent storage unit, but it's not what it's meant to be. It's meant to be a crafting. But of course it's too cold to craft in there anyway. So we shall see what we shall see. Anyway, it's going a bit dark. I hope you can still see me. I did mean to make this video much earlier, but of course the dogs were having one of their moments and barking and running around and doing everything, and now I've lost my little zapper. Oh, there it is. I mean, I don't know how much longer I've got because it's going dark. So I think I shall stop boring you. And I shall find something to do. And then I can update you later in the week maybe of what I found to do. Could do my knitting. I'm not a person with about 1 million whips, by the way. I tend to work on 1 or 2 things and work all the way through. I could go back to the hexagon jacket, which I stopped way before Christmas. I had a a fortnight over Christmas where everybody was ill. I wasn't feeling 100%, and the crafting just stopped dead. Yeah, just didn't feel like it. So I was partway through a hexagon jacket when I decided to just stop. So I've got to the stage where I don't even know what I'm up to. So I was going to go into the conservatory where my Lady Jane mannequin is, well, torso, and pin it on her so that I could, because I'm working 2 pieces at once. I was right to make things difficult for myself. So I thought I'll pin them on the mannequin, and then it might give me some incentive to pick up where I left off, if I can remember where that was. It's only easy, isn't it? It's only a 6-sided thingy-majiggle. Everybody's made one, you know, they're dead easy to do. So anyway, I'm going to leave you. I always say I'm going to leave you about 3 times before I leave, so if you're a newcomer to me, this is me all over. Waffle is my middle name, or is it procrastination? One of them is my middle name. Probably Waffle. Anyway, if you're a newcomer to me, thank you for watching, and if you like me, please subscribe, press the little bell, and press the thumbs up. And hopefully I will see you again, if I didn't bore you to death this time. Bye for now.